Good morning. Our guest today is Allin Thompson. He doesn't want me to call him an old-timer because he's among the younger folks that are being interviewed for this review of Memories of World War II and Life in Harwich at the time. We have begun a little preliminary chat, and because Allin's too young to remember the details of the war, but already he's told me something very interesting, and that is, even though he was only a little tot, he and his family went to Boston during the war years because there was a need and a demand actually for trained craftspeople such as his father. So immediately he was relocated, you might say, because of wartime needs and exigencies. And so when you returned then to your next place of residence, you might say, did you remember it when you came back?
I did.
Oh, good.
I do remember the trip back to the Cape
oh,
at
my.
that time. It was funny. I think it was just all the course of events that kind of left an impression. Before we left Boston, when the Navy or Department of Defense at that time released my father and uncles, who were all pipe fitters, and they worked on ships during the day, helped load ships at night with my uncles and stuff. And it was always interesting because one thing that always amazed me was butter. You know, butter was in a shortage in the war. Well, every now and then my father would come home with a chunk of butter like that. And you know, my mother used to carve it up, you know, set it aside, package it like, you know, and everything. And what got me was, you know, being young at the time, so I walk in and I have a stick of this butter, you know, and I'm shopping on my mother. I mean, it was difficult enough to get the butter. Here I'm eating it like ice cream.
Let alone use it like that.
Oh, yeah, no.
Save the butter,
Well,
so you
anyway,
don't forget that.
she retrieved the butter. But it was always interesting to see how that all, you know, how it all worked out. They kind of, I think being up there at those years, it kind of was an interconnection, you know, and they knew how to get things, you know. Even though there was a shortages on the home front, and you know, the war effort was it. But another thing was that toward the end of the time my father was at the Navy Yard, we were invited to a celebration as such, and we went to. The thing that stood out so much was to see the harbor and all the Navy ships
I've got goosebumps.
that were there.
Yes,
I mean, it's just, and it was that way after the war for a few years till they scrapped a lot of it and stuff. But that time, for a young kid, you know, that, wow.
Military.
It was amazing. It was. And we came home, and in those days, you know, there was no big highway.
No, Route 3.
Route 3, which is 3A
now.
today.
Yes, stop and go.
That's right. And then a couple of trips, the steam trains ran into Hyannis in those days. Steam engines, mind you. Just a short life, as I remember. It came into the main street of Hyannis, where there was a, almost, you know, where the current bus station is,
yes.
Well, almost
the tracks are still,
Well, the railroad station was right there. And trains come in there, and then on Yarmouth Road, where you come in, there's a restaurant there. That was the new train station. Across from the Premier dealership, the Chrysler dealer there.
Yes.
Right across there, that building's still there to this day. But it was...
you remember quite a bit, I have to say, from that age group, but you know, but it was all new and different. For you.
But those were all the things. That's what it was, and actually, the old train station lasted for a few more years. But my uncle, who worked for my father then here, especially summers, you know, and the Cape was developing, so my father used to hire a lot of people in the summer months to come down, work, doing plumbing and stuff. And he also hired a fella, and I often wondered whatever became of him. His name was Bob Hathaway. He was a Marine. And, you know, you talk about crazy guys. Well, he came here from California, And at that time, he had 2 sons and a new baby, and they had a '46 Chevrolet sedan. It was like a new
Wow,
car.
that's, yeah, that was, he was high on somebody's list.
Yeah, and so we worked with my father for a summer, and well, into the fall actually, and then he went back in the Marines. But here's a guy that always amazed me of, you know, his ability to dig a cesspool and jump out of the hole kind of thing. You know,
Yeah, just
he
able,
made a lasting
skilled.
impression, you
Yes,
know?
yes, he did.
And so you often wondered whatever became, but I never knew, but those people pass through your life, you
Yes,
know?
yes,
Like,
the images,
all
of the jump.
all the summer visitors you meet, you know, growing up
on the
here,
job.
and you often, you know, "Oh, yeah, I wonder what they're doing, you know?
Yeah, what
But
became of
anyway, but after that, but growing up here, you know, when we came back to the Cape, we came back to Pleasant Street, 62 Pleasant Street, which is a house I later bought and remodeled
Oh,
and
nice.
sold it and moved over to Hoyt Road. But we were only there for a couple of years. My folks bought what is the Victorian Inn in Howard Center on Parallel Street. And that's where we lived for, I guess I lived there for, I guess till high school anyway, you know, and on and off, you know.
So did you walk to school from there?
We
or-
walked to school,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, we first, when we came back, we went to, we lived in Howardsport first. We went to Brooks Academy.
Oh,
And I went to Brooks Academy a couple of different times when we were in those transition years. We went to 3rd grade, and then we moved over to the new elementary school on South Street for the 4th and 5th.
okay, and that's the current building that's
That's
kind
part
of
of the current
plan,
It was
sort of.
just the one end, like a
Yeah,
wing,
Yeah,
and that was
was
the
it.
beginning of it.
yeah.
And then we moved back to Brooks Academy for 6th, 7th, and then went to the high school, 8 to 12.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So there
that
you
was
are.
pretty much how that went. One of my uncles was chairman of the school committee and school building committee that
Oh.
built the old high school.
Oh,
yeah.
and already it's the old high school, isn't that something?
Actually, old middle school.
Okay, the old mills,
Yeah.
okay, that
It's
then
a building they're trying to
dispose of in some way.
well,
Or
figure out what to do.
yeah, reprogram, or whatever you want to call
that's
it. Yeah.
right. But when you think about all these things and but living here in Howard Center, we always walked to school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Now it's,
yeah.
I guess, not safe or something, or illegal, or I don't know what it is, but
I don't stay.
that's
Well,
not one of your worries.
Yeah. Well, my brother and I, we used to walk from Howardsport too in those days.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
could, and just to come up to Brooks Academy, but Bob Joy owned a bus at that time, and when we did take the bus, Bob Joy was our bus driver.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Look at that.
so that's a long time, and he owned buses for a long time, and it went into the next generation. His sons handled it too, and actually Bob Joy is a super nice man. But one of his daughters, Joan, was in my class, and they were older and younger on either side of us, And Bob was always supportive, very supportive.
Yeah.
So even when I ran for selectman. But
Yeah.
so life in Howardsport, for instance, there was no big grocery stores there then.
When did the A&P come in?
A&P moved down from Howard Center. They were across the street. They were at where there's a restaurant in there now. I don't know. Used to be a Mexican restaurant. Now it's something else. That new pizza store.
Yeah, Reds.
Well,
Yeah.
that was A&P.
It was.
Yeah, and that moved to Howardsport, where George's Pizza is, and then finally built a new building down where the post office and CVS. CVS
I can
building
barely.
is the old.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
But George's Pizza, so it went from little to a little bit bigger.
It just grew, and they
yes.
built a lot of that same style building around the Cape. They were the grocery chain at the
it
time.
was. Yeah.
I mean, now I guess they're going into bankruptcy. But it was, you know, a lot of transition. You know,
Sure.
Main Street, Howardsport is all tree-lined and everything.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. You
and-
see photos in this.
Yeah.
And
And-
somebody that I've already talked to mentioned that they were overseas. They were a little older than we are.
Yeah.
You know. And when they came back, the thing that they noticed the most was that I think it was Sisson Road, this person said, had been stripped of trees because of the elm disease, the Dutch
Yeah,
elm
that's
disease.
correct.
And
Well,
so the shade
yeah.
changed, you know.
Well, every street, I mean, it was a canopy, you know.
Yeah,
You know, Main Street of Howard Center, all the way out.
Hmm.
You know, you know, it was really, really
Yeah,
neat. And
pretty,
they were
yeah.
old, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was the beginning. The Dutch elm disease just kind of started
Once
making its
there's
way
nothing
and
they
it
can
went
do,
right
yeah.
down Main Street.
Yeah.
Howardsport the same way. And
It changes the look of
yeah,
things, yeah.
yeah, it did. You know, now it became cityfied, you know.
Yeah, urban.
Yeah,
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 because the
yeah.
storefronts loom far. I never
That's
thought of
right.
it that way, but they
Yeah,
loom up
yeah.
compared to the shade and so forth.
Yeah, and then over time, I mean, there's a lot of changes, like, you know, the Gish Hall's block burned down, you know.
And where was that? I don't know.
That's where, that currently is where Dino's Restaurant.
Oh, set back right now.
Set
You're
back,
in
yeah.
where
Yeah.
the parking lot area that's
Yeah,
under
that's good.
dispute.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the judge's building was up close to the street, and
Yeah.
it had the judge's office upstairs, and he was judge at the district court here.
Mhm.
And
And there was a fire? It
yeah,
burned?
it fired up. Yeah, it was a total loss. They tore
Yeah,
it down in the
yeah.
end, but they salvaged his records, what have you.
That's good.
And the stores on the first floor, on the ground floor, you know, there was a grocery store. I don't remember the name of it now. A little one. You know,
A little. Compared to the A&P, it was
Yeah.
little.
Well, A&P was little too.
Yeah,
but
it was,
It had a lot
yeah.
behind it. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
rather than the local grocer. And then the Red Sail restaurant was in there. The Western Union office.
Imagine.
Yeah.
In
And,
today's
you know,
world
Up the
of-
other end by the theater was a Railway Express office.
I remember using Railway Express to
yeah.
send my stuff to college.
Yeah.
Packing,
Well,
the truck would pull up and they'd come in and get your trunks.
Yeah.
And
Well, there's a
and
fellow
collect
that
it.
worked at Scoop Chase, local, colorful,
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
man.
Yep.
He delivered trunks, you
See,
know,
that-
to Belmont or Melrose.
Oh, sure.
They shipped the trunks ahead of time.
Yes, we did.
He'd drop them off there and stuff.
Not to Harwich, but we were off
Yeah.
to college. Yeah. So
Same deal.
I wonder what. I suppose now they have nylons, you know, soft-sided suitcases.
Mom and Dad take
Mom and
it.
Dad. This is true. This is true. Mom and Dad are the new Railway
Yeah,
Express.
move them in, move them out.
Good
That's how
line.
that worked.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
yeah, and then.
So that in itself is an interesting observation, though, that the services that were available then,
Yeah.
never mind that the buildings have changed hands or changed locations and
Yeah.
whatever, it's that the nature of service has changed.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
in
everybody
a big
has-
way.
yeah.
Well, let's see. Down, there's a really, no, it's, the building was torn down. There was a Phillips 5 and Dime there. And
Oh.
Chester Robinson bought up the Phillips stores, and he created a chain of Robinson's 5 and Dimes.
Look at that.
As he, you know,
Yeah,
as a
it's
young
its own
man.
business, yeah, entrepreneur.
Yeah, and let's see, across the street was the barber shop. The barber shop was much bigger, and Duval, I think was his last name. Dutch Fournier took it over. Dutch worked for him after the war.
Yeah,
He
same.
got out of the service, cut hair, and he was there. Fred Dumont worked there and finally opened his own shop down the street on Kilda Hill. But Fred cut my hair pretty much most of my
Oh,
life
right.
until he gave it up.
Look at that. Yeah.
yeah,
Look
yeah.
at that.
Yeah.
Kept that curl.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and like I say, when
Well, the barbers are still in business. We still need the barbers.
Yeah, they are. You know.
But as you said, Railway
Yeah.
Express is now mom
Yeah.
and dad in the
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
And the Western Union, I guess we do. Can people send money via Western
Well,
Union these
you
days? I don't know.
I'm not sure. You know, I
We
haven't
don't-
followed that service
But
anymore.
me too, right? But I don't know if it's
if
needed.
it existed
Yeah,
exist
yeah.
anymore. But you know, Western Union had wires that went along the railroad beds. You know, and
sure enough.
you know,
yes,
the
yes.
copper wire signal strands. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
For telegrams. Now, what do we do? Well, now we have
we don't
email.
need it, yeah, we have no use for any of that
For
anymore.
telegrams, right?
Telegram is a thing of
Yeah.
the past. But Western Union did just that, you know.
Sure enough.
I want to send a telegram.
Yeah.
And it was always,
Yeah, you tried to be kind of brief so that
Yeah.
you could, I think 10 words was the limit for
that's
the first
right,
charge or something like that.
Yeah. And it played a big part in our lives in those days.
Sure, if you
the
got a telegram,
communication,
wow,
Sure,
yeah. And that's how you did it. It wasn't
right.
always a scare. Sometimes it was. During the
Yeah.
war years, a telegram was
Yeah.
a scare. But
Oh, yeah.
beyond that, you know, it could be just a message.
Yeah.
Meet me at the clock.
Yeah. And when you think about it, you know, the people that used to do that, if they could see today
Yeah.
what the communications are like,
Yeah,
I mean, never mind Marconi and, you know, the
Yeah,
ship
right.
to shore and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so much of that is so different.
Local, yeah.
But on Main Street in Howard's Board, let's see, there was a New Yorker's sandwich shop, and they had a chain. They had Hyannis, and I believe there's one in Chatham and Orleans, and they all used the same kind of design, a brick front and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then in that same block, the post office was in those days, until
Okay.
they built a
Down the
separate
other end,
building
yeah.
down by the A&P.
Oh, I never
Yeah.
those about that. I always
Well,
thought, yeah, the post
yeah.
office is where it is. No, no.
I forget.
Who's there now, do you think? Roughly, where was it?
It's actually where Dunkin' Donuts is. You mean where
I mean,
was
where
it?
was the post office? The old
It would
before
be
the war?
across the street from the hot stove
Okay,
in that
in
building.
that block, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Doc Funnell, he revamped all of that. you
Yes,
know?
this is true,
So
yes.
It has no
Shifted
look.
a bit.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
I guess he demolished it. So
Took it down.
anyway, so I looked. There's getting through Howardsport. You know, a couple of things I want to say though.
Sure.
Is that, you know, as a kid growing up, there used to be an honor roll down at Dome Park in Howardsport. I can remember Harry Albro and
Oh,
his
yeah.
and his
Hat.
veterans
Veteran
cap,
cap,
and all
yes,
that.
I've seen that
and he
picture.
was in charge of veterans in those days. And that honor roll, I don't know whether the post rotted off, but it listed all, you know,
The fellows
soldiers and
that-
everything.
Gone, yeah.
And it's gone. And I often wonder, whatever happened to it?
You know,
What
somebody has
became of
someone
it?
else has mentioned it too,
Well,
and I'm going to look into that. I'll
yeah.
tell you, to tell you the
And-
truth, where is it?
Yeah, where is it and who was on it? Because
Yeah.
it was an
Large
I
list.
was awed by it. You know what I mean? It was,
Yeah.
And then as a
and you
youngster,
knew the names of the people.
when they had the Veterans Day or
Mm-hmm.
Memorial Day show, I played taps. I played the trumpet
Oh.
in school.
Yeah.
So I played taps. I was a scout. And Harry was kind of the organizer in
Yeah.
those days of that. And, you know, a lot of guys that when they were in World War II, you know, for many years, like Jim Marsline, I never knew Jim Marsline was a prisoner of war or anything.
I know, yeah.
And he came home, they all just kind of faded into the
the
fold,
wood, yeah.
went to work, and
Didn't say
you know,
much.
there was nothing.
Yeah.
And then Donald Ryder, who was a prisoner of war at Korea, my folks put him up, you know, at our house, so on Parallel Street
Oh, yeah.
for a year.
Yeah.
It
until
kind
he-
of got on his feet and
Yeah.
everything. And then he, you know, he went on to be in the work for the town and what have you.
Yeah.
And but you know, when I look back at all of that, and I say to myself, there's a stone over in Exchange Park that used to sit in front of the Congregational Church,
Okay.
and that was a memorial, and they used to conduct services there too. And that's before they went over to, you know, Island Pond Cemetery and stuff.
Yeah.
They were more down Brooks Park. They did them. And,
Yeah.
but you know, it's a dramatic change. But all those fellows, you know, as far as World War II went,
Yeah.
you know, they gave of themselves,
Yeah.
and they kind of
And they
came
had friends
home,
and they
and
relatives.
A few participated in the parades and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
But
But a lot
time
of
has
them,
passed.
yeah. There wasn't much big to do about it, you
No,
know. Like
there is
today,
now. Yeah,
it's
the
so
big thing.
different, you know.
Yeah, well, it was a draft versus an
Yeah.
enlistment.
That's right.
Well, I think we can go on and on, but I think
We
we have
could.
to stop.
Okay. Well, that's
So this
all
has
right.
been wonderful, very
Well,
interesting.
Yeah. Well, like you say, we could do it for a lot
We could
longer.
do it for a lot
Yeah.
longer. Thank you very much, Alan.
You're very welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.